Shark Week Night 3. Extinct or alive? The Land of the Lost Sharks, the first episode of Night 3. So we've got Forrest. I want to say it's Galante or Gallant. I'm unsure, but it makes him sound like a knight that's made out of a tree. So they're trying to find 3 specific species of shark that nobody's seen in a really long time to see if they are extinct or alive. See? First missing shark, the white-tipped weasel shark. They've only ever documented like under 10 total of this animal, and no one's seen one since 1984. Second, they will be looking for the ornate sleeper ray, because rays are sharks, so there. This one also hasn't been seen since 1984, so like what happened in 1984? The third shark they're looking for is the flat-nosed hound shark. And this one hasn't been seen since like 1902. I checked, it's 1902. So all these sharks are supposedly living in the waters off of like eastern South Africa, where it's so pretty. And I need to go to all the places in the world. All of them. I need to go all the places. So there are a lot of sharks in this area. So Forrest refers to it as not just finding a needle in a haystack, but finding a needle in a needle stack. Now, you might need to be a little more specific, because finding a needle in a needle stack is really easy. It's a stack of needles. Anything you find is a needle. Maybe say like a specific needle in a needle stack, because there's no better place to find a needle than a needle stack. There are a lot of really beautiful sharks in this episode that are not what they're looking for, but that doesn't mean they're not easy on the eyes. A lot of the dives in this special are super stressful because the water currents are so crazy. At one point they're down there and they got like pulled like a mile off from where they were supposed to be, and they're in like open, choppy ocean, so like if you can't find them. If you lose them, they're gone. They went down diving, they went too deep, and their alarms start going off, their dive alarms are going off, and they're too deep down, and they have to like slowly come up so they don't get the bends. When they get back up, they have really bad headaches, so they have to like get oxygen, and it's very dangerous. This is, honestly, I think going to the ocean and going to space are the same. That's where I'm at. The music in this kind of sounded like a club, but maybe one that's really like too empty. So like there's a lot of, you can see all the standing tables because there's not enough of a crowd, and like the smoke machine's still going, but like it's kind of a bummer. Like maybe you came to the club too early. That's what this is the sound I heard. They found a bunch of ragged tooth sharks who were like hanging out in a cave and sleeping as like a little bear pack. That's what they're called, bear packs. So they sit down and chit chat with this like local commercial diver guy, and he has footage of some sharks he's seen recently, and it includes footage of the ray that nobody's seen. So they just like happen to find footage of what they needed, and they're able to be like, peace, we're done. So ray found. At one point they used ultraviolet they like created shark vision for themselves. So they had like tinted masks and the lights they're using, and it looked like the realm of monsters from Moana. If you also babysit, you're familiar with the realm of monsters. Then they're reviewing footage of the sharks they've been filming, and this little skinny one sort of like swims on by, like does a little butterfly on by, the kookiest swim I've ever seen from a shark, and that turns out to be the missing white-tipped shark that they were looking for. So now they got 2 sharks. The last one they have to find is the flat-nosed hound shark. This is the hard one. So they're like fishing at night from the beach and like baiting and throwing out, and clearly everybody got tired and stopped filming because all of a sudden there's like screaming, and they're like, oh my God, it's happening! And the camera's all over the place because he's having to run because he was definitely on a break or like asleep or something. And they're reeling it in, and they're all freaking out because I found one. The first since 1902, like the only. It's crazy that you can be like, I saw one thing one time and it's a species now. That's nuts. The flat-nosed hound shark is really cute. It's a little sexy shark. Like it has little like My Little Pony eyes and a little pout, and it's so pretty, and the poor thing is scared out of its mind because it's been caught. It's the only one, so it's probably like its family hasn't been like, be careful. Like they don't know about this. So this shark is gonna go back and have to explain what happened, and nobody's gonna believe it. It's gonna be a really hard life for this shark. He's gonna be the town crazy person from now on. These guys are so happy. The happiest people have ever been in this moment. No one's ever been this happy. They're embracing, they're so glad. I wanted them to kiss. Just a little kiss. Like, we did it, and just kiss on the beach. That's all that this episode was missing, was a romantic, celebratory shark kiss. Second show of the night was Will Smith Off the Deep End. Another celebrity show. Usually, I don't like these. But again, I really liked it. Because this was basically like a combination of like conservation and like facing your fears and like therapy. So Will Smith has been like terrified of the ocean his whole life, of water in general. Like he was like saying he was so scared of sharks he wouldn't go in the water. He talked about having like a false memory where he thought he had almost drowned as a kid, and then he told his mom and she was like, that never happened. Like he was so scared of the water. He didn't learn to swim until he was like 30 or something like that. Like he doesn't like the water. And then they start talking to a psychologist, a neuropsychologist, who's like walking us through how fear affects the body. And then Will Smith is talking about how like you can't like appreciate life if you have like energy taken up by fear. And I was like, oh, holy shit, are we having a therapy session on Shark Week? So after having this fear his whole life, Will Smith made a conscious choice to connect with the ocean. Yes! The music in this episode was a little more wine bar, like a little classier. Definitely not, like, you're not going dancing, like you're schmoozing. Do I put too much on that? Schmooze? It is schmooze, right? It's not smoothing. I said it right. So Will Smith is like getting comfortable with the concept of diving, and Paul the Gelder shows up in a shirt for some reason, and they're talking about fear and overcoming it, and it's like he's getting used to, he's gone in the water, and then he decides he needs to share this with his kids. I need a richer dad. They went on an amazing yacht in Italy, and this like amazing dive trip with all of his kids. So it's finally time for Will Smith to face the sharks, and he's facing tiger sharks, which they might have said earlier, but I missed until it was time. And I was like, oh no, shit, that is scary. And he has to like drop through basically like a layer of lemon sharks around the surface to get to the tiger sharks. And he brought his friends. Now, it was only for a moment, but we got our first Joe Romero sighting of the year. Hooray! So Joe's gonna take them down, and he's gonna have a bait box set up. He's gonna be filming them, and they were like going through booping techniques, and they get down there, and they're like really scared at first, but then they watch Paul like push a shark away from him casually, and they cut back to the interview with Will Smith, and he's like, he's a superhero, and truly could not want more good to come to Will Smith than after this Shark Week episode. I want the world for him. He already has it though. I'm less mad about Aladdin. This fixed everything. So after he spent time with the tiger sharks, Will Smith is like, we've got to get some of those for my pool. Like he loves them. He's so excited. He like pet the sharkies. He had a great time. Will Smith learned to boop. He talked about releasing the fear energy like back into the world. I can't believe that I got to watch like a therapy, like a mental health seminar on Shark Week. It's my two favorite things combined. Talking about mental health really openly, and sharkies. The third episode of the night was Great White Silly Killer. I'm a Great White Silly Killer. That's me. The third episode last night was Great White Serial Killer Extinction. This was about how great whites are attacking sea otters for sport, apparently. Well, that's what they're there to find out. Is there a motive? This episode is Ralph Collier, Brandon McMillan, and Jimmy Partington! And they're gonna go see what the hell is going on. So I love sharks, obviously, but I really love sea otters too, and I don't like seeing them dead. And there's a lot of dead sea otters in this. They're so big, and it's just so sad, and they look like my dog when she's taking a nap. The dead ones, not the live ones. Apparently, sea otters are in the skunk family? You truly learn something new every day. There have been like 1,000 dead sea otters that have been found along the California coast with bite wounds, but they're not eaten. Nothing's eaten, they're just bitten. And apparently this also happened with penguins in South Africa a while ago, where like the great whites are biting them and then letting them go. But they're worried because the sea otters are already having a rough time and now they're getting squeezed to death. They start out in Morro Bay where the sea otters live and they're hanging out. We're in California. Then they decide, let's go down to Guadalupe Island and find Jimmy. So the first theory they have about like why the great whites are attacking the otters is that maybe it's about body positioning because otters float around on their backs. So they decide to put Jimmy in a see-through plastic tub and float him out and feed him to the sharks. So Jimmy's a sea otter. And sure enough, when he's facing the sharks and looking at them, they come check him out, but they leave him alone for the most part. But then he flips over and can't see anything, and the sharks start coming over and messing with him more. The sharks are like really coming for him now, and they hit him so hard he like spun around, he's getting splashed, and the cage cracked, which is terrifying, but Jimmy made it out alive. We also got our first big female of the night. Drink. One of the great whites that showed up has a big gnarly scar on the side of her face, so her name is the Joker, but they said she's very inquisitive, so why not name her the Riddler? I hate me too. I didn't pay attention to the music in this one because I was focused on the fact that they were feeding my new friend Jimmy to sharks. I was distracted. I still can't believe they're fucking skunks. So then they decided to talk to more people about times when great whites have attacked something and then let it go. So they go to Catalina Island, where I went to marine biology camp, and all the counselors told me there was nothing scary in the water. And these guys are like, yeah, our kayak got bitten by a great white, and they show them the teeth, and they're like, wow, those are the biggest teeth we've ever seen in our careers. What did the permission slip say for my science camp? What did it say? Did it entail any of this? They were just so casual about it. I was busy worrying about snakes going out on the kelp, and apparently I was in like Shark City. So then they take a bunch of sea otter decoys that are like stuffed animals from the aquarium. Then you float out. These are non-toxic. I bet my stuffed animals were toxic. They float them out and the sharks grab onto them but spit them out. So then they decide to try the same experiment but with the protection of kelp. So kelp forests in California have been severely declining for like a while now because humans are killing the planet. And so the water's warming, and so there's too many sea urchins and they're eating it. And we used to have like massive kelp forests along the coast, and now they're like almost all gone. So they did one sea otter that was just like wrapped in the kelp to see if the kelp itself was a deterrent. They look like little sushi rolls, the otters in the kelp. And then they did another one that was wrapped in like so much kelp that it sort of was like the structure was the deterrent. The sharks left the kelpie otters alone. Kelp a day keeps the bitey-bities away. So it seems like that really is their line of defense. So as with many things that great whites bite, they don't actually want to eat them. Great whites, they're tasting, smelling, they're just like, what is this? They investigate with their mouths. And unfortunately, their mouths are death holes. So it can be lethal. But the problem is, if the kelp forests keep disappearing, then the sea otters are going to be more and more vulnerable, and there's nothing they can really do to protect them. So we might lose sea otters. Yeah, humans are trash, and I hate us. Sharks forever, humans never. Oh, they also said big female one more time, so only 2 the whole night. Crazy how all over the place these big female numbers are. The first night there were 19, and now we're 2. Who knows what tonight has in store? Anyway, stock up your fridge, be ready, and I'll see you tomorrow. That's it. That's it. That's the end. That's it. Go back to your day. That's it.